Okay, good afternoon. It's 1:55, and I'd like to call the meeting to order. And I guess before we begin, I want to welcome Commissioner Jonathan Fair to the Permit Review Committee. I think we're all really happy to have you. So, and then we'll begin with the roll call. After I call your name, please announce that you're here and that you can hear and see me. Commissioner Ponce.
I'm here and I can see and hear you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hughes.
Present, I can see and hear you.
Thank you. Commissioner Fair.
I'm here and I can see and hear you.
All right. And then we will move to the statement. In 2020, Governor Pritzker signed Public Act 101-0640, making certain amendments to the Open Meetings Act so that we, along with other boards and commissions, can continue to host virtual meetings during the COVID-19 public health emergency, provided that certain conditions are met. One of those conditions is that Chairman Wong of the Commission on Chicago Landmarks determines that an in-person meeting of the Commission on Chicago Landmarks and its Permit Review Committee are not practical or prudent. Chairman Wong has determined pursuant to Section 7E2 of the Open Meetings Act that an in-person meeting of this Commission on Chicago Landmarks and its Permit Review Committee is not practical or prudent. He has also determined pursuant to Section 7E5 that because of the disaster as declared by the governor, it is infeasible for at least one member of the Commission on Chicago Landmarks or its chief administrative officer or its chief legal officer to be physically present at the meeting place for either meeting, in as much as there is no such meeting place. Pursuant to a resolution adopted by the Commission on Chicago Landmarks on June 4th, 2020, regarding the chairman's emergency rulemaking powers, Chairman Wong issued emergency rules governing the conduct of remote public commission meetings and provisions for remote public participation, effective February 18th, 2022. These rules are posted on the Commission's website. In line with these emergency rules, today's regular permit review committee meeting is a virtual meeting being simulcast to the general public via live streaming. Permit review committees have been held virtually since May of 2020. Meetings are structured to minimize the chances for technical difficulties. Members of the general public have been encouraged to submit written statements in advance of the meeting, and these have been posted to the Commission's website and are available for public view during the virtual meeting at www.chicago.gov/ccl. Per the emergency rules, verbal statements by the general public for all agenda items will take place at the beginning of the meeting. So all those wishing to speak at today's meeting should be signed into the Zoom at this time. Before we hear staff presentations on the agenda items and ask to hear from owners or applicants and their teams, we will open the floor to members of the general public who wish to comment about the items to be heard on today's agenda. Members of the general public wishing to comment should use the raise hand function of Zoom to indicate that they wish to speak. Members of the public not using a smartphone or computer and instead phoning in to the meeting should press *9 to activate the raise hand function and do the same to deactivate it. I or the meeting facilitator will call out the names one by one to unmute those people. Once unmuted, speakers should give their full name and organization, if any, they represent. Each speaker is allocated 3 minutes to speak. Once all members of the public wishing to make a comment have been given the opportunity to do so, we will go through the agenda. I would ask that owners or applicants and the representatives, as well as aldermen, wait to speak until after staff presentations have been made on their agenda item. I'd like to now go through the agenda items to allow for public comment at this time. The only agenda item, item 1, the project at 4819 South Greenwood in the Kenwood District. Are there any members of the general public wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none. That concludes the public comment portion of this meeting. So now we'll go through the agenda. And the first item on the agenda is the approval of the previous meeting, the regular meeting on September 8th, 2022. And I'd like to request a motion to approve the minutes from September 8th, 2022. Do we have a motion?
So moved, Commissioner Hughes.
Commissioner Hughes made a motion. Do we have a second?
Second, Commissioner Ponce.
Commissioner Ponce has seconded. Commissioner Fair?
That's a yes for me.
And I'm a yes. The motion has carried unanimously and the minutes are approved and will be posted on the commission's website. And for our one and only project today, 4819 South Greenwood in the fourth ward, Alderman King, Kenwood District. It's the proposed replacement of a masonry garden wall along the front line of the property. And I'd like to call on Tyler Taylor for the presentation.
Thank you, Commissioner. As mentioned, the project is a proposed replacement of the masonry and wrought iron garden wall along the front property line of 4819 South Greenwood Avenue, known as the Schaffner House. The property is located in the Kenwood Landmark District, which was designated in 1979. The significant features are the exteriors of all structures within the boundaries of the district. Joseph Schaffner was an early 20th century industrialist and partner of the garment manufacturing company Hart, Schaffner and Marks in Chicago. Schaffner and his wife Sarah commissioned the prominent firm Holabird and Rose to design their home after they had already designed the office and industrial buildings for the company. The large Georgian-style brick house was constructed in 1904 and is notable for use of red and white brick in a checkerboard Flemish bond pattern. The house is set far back from the street and has an expansive lawn and garden in front. The photo on the right shows the house in 1992 when it was documented as part of the Chicago Historic Resources Survey. The photo on the left is more recent and shows it much as it appears today. The garden wall itself is being replaced because of its deteriorating condition. Per the contractor, the existing wall is in disrepair due to age and failure of the foundation. The foundation has settled and been dislodged, causing cracks and dislocation of the limestone base. The wall is visibly bowing outward and mortar is loose and crumbling, and some masonry is cracked and damaged. Staff first looked to determine the age of the current wall and the history of the site's development. The photo on the left shows the oldest documentation of the garden wall we were able to find from a survey in the late 1970s, available in the Hargis archive. The photo on the right is from the Chicago Historic Resources Survey and shows the wall as it appears today. Both are the same height, but the earlier photo shows the wall without the masonry piers to the north of the gate that exists now. The later photo also shows the wall in very good condition, suggesting it was not old when the picture was taken. This indicates that the wall was replaced at some point between these two surveys. In addition to the photos, staff also searched permit records, databases, aerial photo records, sandboard maps, and available books. While the house itself is well documented, we could not find any record of the garden wall before the Hargis photo. Based on the available records, staff has concluded that the wall is most likely not historic and therefore can be replaced. The replacement wall, however, must be compatible with the character of the property and the overall district. Commissioners, in your packet sent out on Friday, September 30th, you received a design for the new wall that is very similar to the existing wall, with the masonry portion at the same height and rail fencing added to the top, which is reflected in the drawings shown on this slide. Since then, on Monday, October 3rd, staff received a revised proposal that the owner would like to present to you today. They intend to dismantle the current wall, salvage the brick, and use it to construct the new fence. The applicant intends to match the brick bond pattern, color, texture, and mortar of the house and current wall. This new garden fence is proposed in the same location as the current wall. The new wall will have 6.5 foot tall masonry piers that match the piers at the corners and gates of the current wall, spaced approximately 13 feet on center. The lower portion of the masonry has a height of 1 foot 10 inches and the iron fence rails extend up to 6 feet. There's already a garden wall in this location, and the applicant intends to match the masonry of the new wall to the house. The surrounding area of the Kenwood district is characterized by properties with large landscape front yards, commonly with a wrought iron fence or masonry garden wall along the front property line. Often these fences have masonry or concrete piers that match the same style of masonry as the house. These are 3 examples of such fences just along South Greenwood Ave. The proposed new fence follows this pattern and is clearly compatible with the district. The design of the new fence is also compatible with the historic Schaffner house and does not obstruct the view of the house and its grounds. The lower height of the opaque portion of the fence offers a better view of the house than the current wall does. Staff therefore recommends approval of the design shown on the drawings dated October 3rd, with the conditions mentioned during my presentation and also here on this slide. Our recommendation is based on compatibility with the property and the character of the surrounding Kenwood district. The applicant is also here today if you have any questions for me or them. That is Mike Barcelos of Premier Services. Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, Tyler. Any questions for Tyler? Commissioner Hughes?
Yes. Look, because today I came to this meeting with a very different opinion. Let's be clear, because this was not in our packet. What's on the screen right now was not in our packet. So I personally appreciate that they are bringing, it looks like bringing the piers back. I'm not sure because some of the historic photos I did see the columns. So I'm not sure if those, were taken away over time or what happened, because it is pretty flat now. But I do appreciate that they're bringing those columns back, and I do appreciate that they're keeping the Flemish pattern. Will the color and texture be the same as it is now, or is it reverting back to it all being kind of a monotonous color?
It will be the same as it is now.
Okay, great. Perfect.
Great, Commissioner Hughes. Should we hear from the applicant? Let's hear from the applicant.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Mike Barcelos. I'm a landscape architect at Premier Service. We are acting as the design build contractor for the owners, Anita Blanchard and Martin Nesbitt. They're very excited to update this wall and make it safe and aesthetically pleasing again. And I think they're very excited that it sounds like we have the ability to change the shape of the wall a little bit. Their primary goal is to increase privacy, but also increase visibility into the garden and to the view of the house. So I think by this modification to the elevation of the wall, dropping the hard masonry wall down to just the bottom footplate and opening up visibility with the wrought iron fence, they're going to achieve both of those desires, all while still staying within the architectural fashion of the original wall. We do intend to salvage as much of the limestone coping as possible. That coping currently exists on the top of the wall, and that will be reused as a bottom coping for that lower portion of the wall. We will be needing to purchase new caps for those independent columns, as those don't exist currently. And we hope to reuse the bottom sill of limestone at the base as much as possible as well. We are planning to install a new concrete foundation so that this wall doesn't move like it has been in the last 30 years. I thank you for your time. I welcome any questions, comments.
Thank you. Commissioner Fair?
Hi, thanks for that overview, Mike. And, I just want to comment, I think keeping the meter between the piers is the right call, just gives a nod to, I guess for at least from the 70s, what was, some of the original character of this fence in particular. I also think opening up the views with the wrought iron fence being increased in its elevation is a good move and keeps in alignment with the rest of the neighborhood. One question, maybe just for clarification, it didn't show up in the photos of the drawings, but there's no portion of this gate that acts as a retaining wall, does it? It's all at grade there, basically.
Yeah, it's all at grade.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great to know. Okay, no other questions.
I do have one additional comment, Tyler. The existing wall actually extends south of their property corner by about 30 feet. which is technically the neighboring property to the south. They are in close connection with the neighbors to the south, and it's their intention that we will be removing that portion of the wall to the south and replacing that fence line with a wrought iron fence to match the neighbor's fence. And we did not draw that on the plan. I apologize, but there's an existing neighboring fence to that south that is 100% wrought iron, no stone masonry, that we will extend 30 feet to close that gap.
Okay.
Commissioners, any questions? Seeing none. Thank you.
Thank you.
And any final points of discussion, commissioners? Seeing none, I'd like to request a motion to adopt the staff recommendation for the project. Do we have a motion?
So moved, Commissioner Fair.
Commissioner Fair has made a motion. Do we have a second?
Second, Commissioner Ponce.
Seconded by Commissioner Ponce.
I'm a
And,
yes.
Commissioner Hughes is a yes. And I'm a yes, and the motion carries unanimously. Congratulations. Good luck with the project.
Thank you very much.
And thank you. And that brings us actually to the end of our very short initial meeting for Commissioner Fair there. And I'd like to request a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Commissioner Hughes.
Commissioner Hughes made a motion. Second.
Yes. Second,
Second,
Commissioner Fair.
Thank you.
And Commissioner Fair, buckle up because this
This is-
doesn't happen often.
I feel like I just dipped my toe in the water and that was about it. I was looking at the rest of the list that was shared, the summary of permits review, and I said, okay, we're getting off easy. So,
Yes, yes.
The roll call, Commissioner Ponce. Did you
Yes.
say yes? Okay, and I'm a
Yes.
yes. So this motion carries unanimously and the meeting is ended officially. So yes. Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
Welcome, Commissioner. Fair.
Welcome.
All right, have a good day, everybody.